Okay, this is part two. Just going over a couple questions. So hopefully you already had your assignment sheet out. I'm going to go over quickly just kind of two parts of it, and I want you to actually redo a couple of your questions because you got a little bit off with it. So I want you to redo them, and I'll just mark it from your redo one, okay? So the next question, so it says number 2. So yours ended up on a couple pages. It was formatted better on mine, but I'm sure when I send it, it ended up funky. So question 2 says solve the following quadratic equations by putting it into ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form and factoring. So when we're talking about factoring, oh, it won't let me do anything I want to. When we're talking about factoring, you might want to go back to those review things that we did at the beginning of the year on factoring trinomials. So we talked about inspection, we talked about decomposition, you have your box method that Corey is so fond of, lots of different things. And with question 1, you are doing awesome. So you get to the right point here. So I'm just going to do it on my sheet as well. You did it kind of by, I don't know if it's a box method. Oh, no, you did decomposition. Awesome. You might have done it by your box method because it gets you to the same spot. But I'm just going to do it on mine as well, just to kind of have it ready to go. So by factoring, not everything will be able to be factored easily. Like these ones you can, that's why I'm asking you to do it, but some you won't necessarily be able to do for an algebraic form. Um, it's not easily factorable. So I would go back and watch the lessons as well if you feel a little bit stuck that I already made for you on solving by factoring and solving by the quadratic formula because you seem like you just have goofed up a little bit with it. So in order to solve by factoring, so again, you did it by, oh, where am I writing? Decomposition. I'm going to do it by inspection because again, right now my A value is 1. You'll see that it'll get us to the same spot. My way is just the lazy way. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to be equal to negative 28 and add to be equal to positive 12. So when they multiply to a negative number, I know one has to be negative and one has to be positive. And since they add to a positive number, I know that my bigger number needs to be positive. So I could go through all of my factors of 28. What I would find is negative 2, positive 14 actually satisfy these, that they multiply to negative 28, and if I add them together I get to positive 12. So what that gives me is it gives me my other portion of my factors. So I'm going to put in x minus 2, x plus 14. And again, this is all equal to 0. What I've done is I've factored this side, so we have it all set equal to 0 still. And Michael, you did it. You have the same thing. You have x plus 14 times x minus 2, and you have it equal to 0. And then this is where you just got a little off base. So what you need to do from here is we need to analyze those two situations and figure out what makes them equal to 0. So we want to look at what makes x minus 2 equal to 0, or what makes x plus 4 equal to 0. Again, because this is all equal to 0. So in order to figure out what value for x makes this true, let's just add 2 to both sides. So we're basically solving for x. X equals positive 2. So that's one of our answers. And, oh, sorry, I've changed this to 4 instead of 14. Hopefully you saw that and were stressed out about it. So we, again, are going to be subtracting 14 from both sides. So we have x equals negative 14. And those are our answers. So I think you tried to average those out, but what you would want to do with something like this is verify. So one way that you can verify is graphically. And since we were just talking about it, I'm going to actually do that one in my weird calculator. So what you want to do is put in your equation. So x squared plus 12x minus 28. I need to add in my x-axis since it doesn't seem to want to let me. And drag my graph back up to where it belongs. Oh my gosh, what has it done? Oh! that didn't help me. It's doing some weird stuff now that it's made my axes a little bit funky and I don't know what's going on. So you can see, again, you would want to trace your intersection points, but you can see that it crosses at -14, +2. Again, -14 over here, +2. It's given us our values, which are what we had here. -14. I gotta stop writing with my trackpad. +2. The other way that you could verify is substituting each in independently. So I want you to go back to your sheet. You have not solved these by factoring. So I want to see your process for solving by factoring. Um, this one you can do by inspection or decomposition. You look like you're pretty good at decomposition, so keep going with that. This one, again, for both of these, you need to collect everything on one side of the equation. So you need to add 8 here. You need to subtract 2x and add 5 to get it all on one side of the equation. And this one, your first step is good here. So dividing both sides by 16, that's fine. So you'd have b squared equals 4. What you would need to do from there is gather everything on one side and then think of your difference of squares factoring. You're pretty close, but you're just kind of missing one element of it. So I want you to go back and redo B, C, and D for me, please, by factoring. And then in question 3, so it says solve the following quadratic equations by putting into standard form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So that means collecting everything on one side and using the quadratic formula. It says you may also factor, which you did, and I don't really like it. So let me just check. You know what? You factored them both right. So, Michael, props to you. I want to see them by the quadratic formula, though. So, can you just try to redo these so that I know you know how to do the quadratic formula? Let me check on your question. Oh gosh, why is it doing that? Page break in between. Um, sorry, I didn't realize that it said you can factor as well, which was not great. You know what, Michael? You seem to have the quadratic formula. These are right. So -5 plus the square root of 133 divided by 6, and -5 minus the square root of 133 divided by 6. These are your rounded values. These are your exact values. Excellent. So I'd be more concerned with the ones that are not in the box, actually, than these decimal ones, but that's really good. -11 plus the square root of 97 divided by 4, -11 minus the square root of 97 divided by 4. So again, you got the quadratic formula. So if you can just do this last question by it as well and just send me those, that would be awesome. And just let me peek. It's so weird that it reformatted. You couldn't figure out the proper windows. So for this one, make your window setting this. Have it like this. So make your y values between, I don't know, -100, +3200, and have your x values between 0 and, or -10, I guess, so it has that, and 80. So try that again and just try this question again. You should get a quadratic in the end, not a linear thing. So try using the window settings that you're essentially given there, and then using your equation, it'll give you it. So determining the height, use your calculator once you get the setting right, because you're going to actually have 2 values for this. So try it again once you have the right values. What it's essentially going to be, since that question is asking you when the rocket reaches a height of 1,000 meters. So again, you'll get a quadratic. So again, the range go from -100 to, I don't know, 3,500, something like that. So we want to find out when the rocket's at 1,000. Your graph looks something like this. I don't know exactly what it is. So if this is 1,000, you see that the rocket was at that height 2 times. So it will be right here that it will be at a height of 1,000, and it'll be right here that it's at the height of 1,000. So in your Y2, you're going to put in 1,000 and trace the points of intersection. Sorry, that's getting messy on the very corner. Um, and then when is the maximum height? So you're going to be tracing your value at your vertex, right? The maximum value there. You should be able to figure that out. So give those a try again. Hopefully that kind of clarifies it, but please, please, please let me know if it does not. I have a quiz ready to go for you on D2L, but honestly, Michael, we're going to do this unit, we're going to do statistics, and then we'll see what else we can pick and choose out what we have time for. This is the big unit. If you're going to take math 30-2, this is a big unit to understand well. So I'd rather we stretch it out and make sure that you understand it really well so that next year, if you do take 30-2, which I would recommend, you have this good basis. Doing the logic unit, like it's fun, but it's not going to be super helpful for you. Doing angles and triangles and sine law and stuff, again, sometimes you guys are really good at trig stuff, but it doesn't continue into 30-2 at all. Statistics is really good to do and just understand as a human being, so I like doing that unit. And the proportional reasoning one, we might do it too, but we'll see. Again, our time is so weird. I don't know if you've talked to, I'm sure Brett would have kind of told you that the government is saying the most you guys can be doing is 3 hours a week assigned by me per course, when usually I see you guys for 7-ish hours a week, and then if you add in homework time. So we're definitely not getting through the whole course, but don't worry, you're not going to get zeros for the units you didn't do, so don't stress about that. So I'm gonna cut this video off, but if you want to go over anything again, if you're like, I still don't get factoring, I don't know that I understand the quadratic formula, I don't know that I understand solving things graphically, let's sort all that out before you try the quiz. So please send me these things again and all will be good. All right, have a good one. And again, just let me know what you need, kiddo. Okay, bye.